Okay, first off, great to see everybody. Excited to kick these things off. Kids are coming in as we speak, and we'll be starting our meetings here not too shortly after speak to you folks. But we're excited. You know, really, as I look at this thing, we're excited about what's going on right now, right here and right now. That's what we're excited about, and we've spent the last 7.5, 8 months focused in on getting to this point. It's right on us, and it's just great to be kicking off the 2015 season. So with that, questions?
Scott,
X.
It's about right here, right now. But
yes, sir.
Is there a lesson from last year that you have to keep fresh, even in a new season?
Well, I think every year you come off a season, and there's lessons you learn, and you take a look at the things that went well, the things that didn't go well, and you move forward. We've been doing that for 7.5, 8 months, and both the controllable things and the uncontrollable things we looked at, and tried to look at it as well as we could as real data, and we're excited to get started right now with the things that we've put in place over the last few months. Everything from having spring practice earlier than usual, which gave us an extra almost 3 weeks of strength and conditioning, another session of strength and conditioning with Coach Hickson and his staff, and to all the plans that we have put forth for the practice sessions.
With all the injuries last year, any thought of, are you going to be running preseason camp any differently in terms of practice, length, contact, any of those kinds of things?
It's a great question. To some degree, yes, but the patterns and the data that we had just said it was one hell of a freakish year of injuries. So we're focused back in on what we've done for a lot of years. There are a few little wrinkles here and there with regards to the way we'll practice the upperclassmen and the freshmen. But for the most part, they're just that, wrinkles. Stephen?
I think at ACC Media Day you were excited to sit down with Mark Coyle and get to chat with him. Have you had that chance?
Yeah, we've talked a lot. We've spent a lot of time here, and we're both excited for the season. And as he put it, it's not a dash; it's a marathon. And he's got a great plan in place moving forward with the whole department, and we're excited to get started. Right now, we're just going to get focused in on our job right now, and that's to take care of the things daily that are in front of us, starting today. Mark? Oh, I'm sorry, Danny.
Okay. The 2015 class, obviously you haven't seen them out there, but just the personalities, the expectations, and your thoughts on finally getting those guys here.
Sure. Well, it's great to have them here. We've been able to see them a little bit more this year because of the way the rules have been put in place. Been able to watch them run, been able to watch some of their movement skill sets, and I'm pleased with them. They did a nice job with their 110 test. The kids all made it with ease. We have a big, strong group of young men that are playing on the offense and defensive line. Now we're just looking forward to seeing them on the field with the pads on. It's a lot different when you're on the field and you got the pads on than it is running around doing drills on the grass. Good group of kids. Looking forward to getting them on the field.
What happened with Ashton, and is he still here finishing up, or is he?
He is. He's finishing up his schoolwork, but he was dismissed for violation of team policies. Simple as that. Mark.
Zaire Franklin, can you talk about how unusual it is for a sophomore to be the leader in defense, and how equipped he is to handle that responsibility?
Sure. Zaire Franklin, young man, he is. He's a sophomore that's taken on a lot of leadership responsibility because he's capable of it. And I think most of you, I know I've shared with a lot of you one-on-one just how far ahead he is for a young man. 19 years old, but he speaks like a 25-year-old. He has his priorities in the right place. I think for Zaire, it's a wonderful story how he was raised with some difficult situations, losing his parents, and that village of family did a great job influencing him, as well as his high school coach and those people in that school system. But it's that it factor that you can't describe as a coach, And it's that it factor that you can't develop that or manufacture that as a coach either. Young men either have it or they don't have it, and he has the it factor. And just pleased to having him on this team, and I'm looking forward to his influence the next 3 seasons. But right now it's focused in on what he's going to do today and tomorrow. Like I said, the right here, right now theme that we've been talking about as a team is what we're going to try to live in, and I'm glad he's living in it with me.
Scott, what do you think is the biggest lesson Terrell took by being in the booth and working with the coaches closely after his injury?
Sure. Good question, Brent. I think anytime a quarterback, especially a quarterback, sometimes a linebacker, a middle linebacker as well, is forced to step back and not have that opportunity to play, a multitude of things go through his process moving forward. I can relate to that. That happened to me when I was a player. The game has slowed down because you can't play anymore. So you're looking for things to do to try to stay involved. He was anxious to stay involved. Coach Lester did a great job taking him under his wing and teaching and reteaching football. It was slowed down to the point where he was looking at things like a coach. And for him to be able to sit there in the box and hear the plays and then see the development on the field with a couple young guys playing that hadn't played a lot, I think probably helped his maturation a ton. So that's the biggest thing. And then the next thing is just missing the game. And it's like a lot of us that are a little bit older now that can't do the same things we used to do in sport. When it's taken away from you and it's not coming back, it's one thing. But when it's taken away from you and you got another shot at it, you're highly motivated. And he's done a nice job from everything to structuring his diet, his workouts, his film time. Everything he's done has been to put together an athlete that's ready to have a great senior campaign. So I've been pleased with his work ethic, his development, and looking forward to having Terrell back on the field for us.
Hey, Scott, Joe Magnell from Boston Daily Times.
What's up, Joe?
Hey, so another sophomore with a lot of expectations coming this year for Phillips.
Sure.
What do you expect from him over the next 4 weeks of camp heading into the Rhode Island game?
Sure. Well, to stay true to our theme, I just want to see him get better every day. Irv's done a really nice job. He's gotten bigger, stronger in the off season, maybe a little bit faster. But he's put on some good weight. When you see him out at practice, you'll see what I'm talking about. He just looks like a sophomore, not a freshman right out of high school that was a multi-sport type of kid. His maturity's grown in the off season in the classroom, and he's a focused young man that's excited to be playing that H-back position, that express back position, as people on the outside started to call it. And I kind of jumped into owning that as well. So I'm anxious to see him on the field and see him develop one day at a time. Yeah, not tough at all. Anytime you're coaching football, any sport, that's what you do. You evaluate where your talents are, where your weaknesses are, and you make adjustments as you go. So it hasn't been difficult at all. I'm encouraged with all the linemen that we're bringing in, both on offense and defense, and I'm excited to see them on the field so we can start that process up tomorrow, actually.
Is there any update with Marquise Blair?
We're waiting to hear from the NCAA. Nothing's changed as of yesterday. So it's going to be a wait and see type of thing with Marquise. And then Stephen, just looking at you there, even though you didn't ask the question, injuries. Mike Lasker doing really well. He had the procedure done on his shoulder. He's doing really well. We did have Jacob Green, who some of you know. Jacob's a walk-on tight end for us. Unfortunately, he was playing some pickup basketball and tore his ACL, so he won't be with us. And then other than that, we got everybody back. A couple guys that will be limited with Tyler Provo had a little bit of a hamstring strain a couple weeks back, so we're going to try to be smart with him. But for the most part, we're full bore and ready to roll. he's actually going to be able to practice with limitations right now. We'll avoid a lot of contact with him. Probably mid-August, he should be back to where I would say he's close to 100%. Sorry about that.
What's the message to your team tomorrow coming up with a disappointing season next week?
Well, we're not looking back, that's for sure. The message is really, what are we going to do today to get better tomorrow? And the theme is, what are we doing right here, right now, to make ourselves a better football team? Not looking backwards, not looking forwards too far, not even looking sideways, but focused in on what is going on right now in front of us. Special teams meeting, academic orientation, whatever it may be, just trying to win that opportunity and stack up the wins daily. That's our focus.
The coaching staff, what are they doing right now to make sure this season is better than
Well, it's not what they're doing right now. It's what they've been doing since the last day of the season. Our guys have worked extremely hard. We have a great staff. I'm excited to get back on the football field with all of them. And I just can't wait to get started today and tomorrow.
You know, great conversations with the new athletics director, but does it bring any new kind of pressure having a new guy in that role? You know, and any?
None at all.
Syracuse online. You spoke something about the injuries for guys who are going through now. One of the guys who was hurt last year was Grizzly Steve. How's he looking this year?
Looks great. Looks great. He's had a great off season. He's strong. His body looks wonderful. He killed all the testing. Ran extremely fast in his sprints, and he's ready to roll. Anxious and ready to roll.
Joe, you obviously have a lot of youth on the defensive side, but one player who I think comes with a lot of expectations is Ron Thompson. Are you anticipating a big year from him at the end?
Yeah, with regards to Ron Thompson, we are. We're looking forward to Ron having a great season. Extremely unselfish young man that understood last year with some of the issues we had. He had to bounce around a bunch, and he was an undersized kid having to play inside some. His natural position is out on the edge. That's what he'll be playing. Was pleased with his improvement at end this spring, and he looks good. He's ready to go. Excited. Great expectations for Ron to have a good season.
Scott, year 3, obviously looking back on the last 2, just some of those biggest takeaways that you've had and some of those things that you've taken into coaching meetings and talking with the guys, you know, some of those things that you really want to work on going forward.
Well, for us, it's just continue to improve upon our consistency at every position. Getting a feel for one another on the field and playing, whether it's offense or defense, trying to play with 11 men, looking like one. And really the focus is just like I mentioned before. How are we going to improve? How are we going to have each other's back throughout the course of this summer camp and as we get into the season, really? And that focus point, we're trying not to go beyond kicking that thing off for Rhode Island, knowing that if we do a good job focusing on daily improvement, we'll get there. And all the things from the past are just that. They're from the past. We learn those lessons. Immediately we try to fix them, put processes together that give our kids a chance to get better, our coaches a chance to get better, and all those things are done. So now it's just a matter of getting back on the field and doing a good job practicing tomorrow.
Scott, you mentioned that express back position. What can you tell us? What are you willing to tell us about that?
Right, Brent. From a schematic point of view, I'm reluctant to say a whole lot because I think anytime you have an opportunity to keep things behind the scenes, it gives you a tactical advantage going into any game. And that's definitely what we want to be able to do. To keep it in a general format, but answer the question to some degree, Brent, when you have a kid that's playing that position, he can do things from a wing alignment that is off the tackle, a wing alignment that could be off a tight end. You can spread him out to a more traditional slot position where you can take advantage of some of his abilities to play in space. And you could also work him back into the backfield in 2-back formations and run traditional offense. And why traditional offense, an inside and outside zone, and anything that you could imagine you could do with 2 or 3 backs. And the thing I like about what Coach Lester's done in the past with that position is he's given himself an opportunity to create mismatches and have a multi-talented athlete there. So when you look at you look at Irv Phillips, you look at Ben Lewis, you look at some of these freshman running backs that could play running back and H-back. Strickland will probably learn some H-back as well. Perkins. We saw those kids play on both sides of the ball. We saw them run the ball, catch the ball, return punts. I think we have some very good athletes at that position that could, give us some good, at bare minimum, mismatch problems for the defenses.
That was kind of going to be my question. Obviously, without Ashton, is there anyone you're thinking of moving over to hybrid? It sounds like Dante might be that guy.
Right.
Getting some reps there.
Yeah, and I think both Perkins and Strickland are two guys that could play that easily. In fact, Strickland did in high school. If you watched his highlight tape, he's running out of an H-back type position. So when we talked to him in our talks about the things we wanted to do with him, he was excited. He's like, Coach, I can do all that. We did that in high school. I said, I know. I remember the tape too. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys develop throughout the course of week 1, week 2, and then once we come back from Fort Drum, see where we are. But I think we do have some talented kids that can bring some things to that position.
Time for 2 more questions.
Yes, sir.
Coach, could you speak about the safeties? It's a young group, but it seems like Cordy seems to be a little bit ahead of some of the other guys.
Yeah, and I was pleased, as you know, with Antoine coming up from Homestead, Florida. I've always enjoyed coaching kids from down that way, especially a lot of secondary players for whatever reason. Antoine we said, hey, look, we'd like to give you a shot at one of these safeties. I know you can play corner, but let's see if you can play safety. And it was a natural for him. It's a natural for him when it's day 2 or day 3 and he hasn't had a lot of opportunity for classroom time with the coach, and they do a nice job breaking on the football, showing up where safety should show up, even though he hasn't had a bunch of film work yet. So I think he fits in nicely at either the strong or the free. And then, of course, we have Chauncey Sissom coming back, ready to go. Looking forward to Rodney Williams. And I like our young kids, and Frederick Whitner, Ellison. I think those kids all have skill sets that match those positions. So it'll be interesting to see, how those kids compete and fight for those playing reps. And this you haven't had a chance to ask. Go ahead.
Talk about some of the daily learning. With the DB, is there something specific that you're looking for in the next 2 weeks?
I missed that. Say that. Can you a little bit louder?
Who do you think? What are you looking for specifically from them?
The secondary,
yeah.
The DBs. Oh, just to compete. I think there's good skill sets there. I think when I look at our secondary and you say you have Winfield, you have Morgan, you have Wiggum, and then you say those 3 guys have been around for a little while. What are these young guys going to do? Dowles, Hudson, especially those 2 kids. As you guys know, I've mentioned throughout the course of spring, we have some competition at those 2 positions, which excites me, being an old defensive guy, an old secondary coach. Because in our best years on defense, those were the years where you had 3 and 4 corners that you could play, rotate in. So when you're in the middle of the 3rd or 4th quarter, those kids are a little bit fresher if you were only playing 2 or 2.5, 3, which we've had to do at times, both here and other places. So more than anything else, competition against one another, good, clean competition, and see what we come up with. Well, thanks for coming here today. I know you're going to get an opportunity. We can take one more. I'm sorry. That's okay. Yeah.
I've been up there a few years now.
Yeah.
I was curious to get your thoughts on why it's so important for this program, what you hope to get out of that experience.
Sure. With regards to the Fort Drum experience that we've had every year, there's a few things that come to mind. First and foremost, it's near and dear to my heart because my family has a lot of military in the background. Military in the background where my uncle died in Vietnam, my cousin got killed in Iraq. So trying to do something that gives back to the military is something that's near and dear to my heart. The second thing is for our kids to go out there 18, 19, 20 years old and sit across from 18, 19, 20 years old men and women and look them in the eye and say, so tell me about your experience in the military. And that young woman or that young man says, well, I just got back from 9 months in Afghanistan living in the dirt and getting shot at, so you guys can have the freedom to go back home and play college football. I think it hits our kids right down the middle. And when you have a young man that's in the middle of 2 days and he's sore and he doesn't feel good, and he may have a tendency to start whining about why we hit so much and why we practice so much and all these other things, all they got to do is look across the table and say, boy, I got it really good. So that's where I come from on that. And then from a selfish point of view as well, a chance to be trained by the world's greatest military. And these guys, these young men and these women, these are the ones that go up in the mountain division. They climb the hills. They conquer horrible conditions, and they fight the good fight for one another. And it's so real for us to just get around them and do a little bit of training. We have some new training this year that these guys are going to enjoy. In the past, we did a few of the same things. This year, we got some rock climbing things, some things that I'm not going to get involved with, I'll be quite honest with you. Now, they say it's perfectly safe, so we're not going to put our kids at risk, but I don't want to be a part of it. So to be trained by the world's best is something that really fires me up. Great. Thanks so much for coming. We'll let you get with the kids here next. Mike?